Om Yogis, welcome to the Surya Kriya, Vinyasa. We have Jaden demonstrating, so if you're following along, please bring your hands to prayer at your heart. And we begin our practice just by establishing a clear intention for why we're here, checking in with your heart's innermost desire. Why do you do this work? What is it that calls you? Go ahead and take one breath in. And remembering the principles, please exhale, lower the hands, navel pulls towards spine, exhale below. And we'll start with the first vinyasa, French press vinyasa. Inhale to the collarbones, exhale to the root. We're going to do 4 breaths with each segment of Surya Namaskar. So if you're familiar with our Surya Namaskar sequence, Surya Kriya is an elongated form of this practice. And so what this allows us to do is really tap into the pulse of the breath, tap into the rhythm of the breath, and make this a much sweeter and gentler experience. Sometimes Surya Namaskar, in its traditional way, one breath to one movement, can be quite a bit. So here we have Surya Kriya. After you've done 4 breaths with the French press vinyasa, reach to fold vinyasa. The arms travel all the way overhead. Remember, the inhale finishes after the movement ends. And the exhale, belly hugs in, slide the body, slide the legs. Breath encompasses movement. So we particularly like using Surya Kriya in this way, these 4 breath movements, just to emphasize the principles of practice that we're always talking about. And this is a great way to really become familiar with the movements of Surya Namaskar, if that's a new practice for you. And you're not ready to do multiple rounds, you can break it down like the way that we're doing here. Again, breath is always the teacher, breath is always the guru. There's never a rush to complete, never a struggle. It's just a really enjoyable and comfortable rhythm. You can see Jaden doing a really good job of pausing in the space between the breaths. This is our 4th principle. That there is 4 parts to each breath. The 4th principle states that there's 4 parts to each breath. So notice the spaces between the breaths. After you've completed your 4th vinyasa, we'll end in a static shape. Only we'll just take 1 breath in this static shape, allowing a little pulse. And then we'll demonstrate the spinal breath pulse in this shape. So the next time Jaden inhales, he'll allow the inhale to come into the chest and he'll lift the spine. He lets the breath create the movement. This is our 2nd principle. And then when he exhales, belly hugs towards spine, and he allows the exhale to deepen the fold. So lower abdomen pulls in, chin will tuck. And he'll do 3 more, so 4 total. And just notice how he elongates his spine on the breath. This is a really valuable vinyasa to feel and experience that process of spinal elongation on inhalation and spinal contraction on exhalation. From the tailbone up through the lumbar spine, the middle spine, the upper back, the neck. The wave of the inhale travels up, and then the wave of the exhale travels back down. It's very systematic and it's very fluid. So really try to feel that. Try to feel how the breath is moving the body. So second principle states breath movement is body movement. And as we go along with these principles, can you keep them in mind? So now Jaden's done 4. He's going to hold this shape for 4 breaths, just allowing the static shape to reflect to him how he has set up the posture, meaning how did he flow into the posture in his pulsing? Did he try to force too much? Did he try to go too far? And now that he's here holding this shape, can he remain with a consistent breathing pattern, or is his breathing compromised in any way? This is how we use dynamic movements to set up static movements. When we set up a static movement using a dynamic movement, we're establishing a breath pattern. Can we keep that pattern? And so after 4 breaths in his fold, he'll reach his right leg back for a lunge, and this will be an inhalation. Well, this is the lunge in Surya Namaskar. Usually we take 1 breath here, but Jaden will pulse 4 times where he'll straighten the legs on the exhale. And this is a very similar movement to what he just did, only now his legs are split. And so this is, you can also see the wave in this process. There's the wave up the spine. Belly hugs towards spine during the exhalation. Inside of that left thigh moves inward and upward. Really play here, play the edge. Try not to force anything. And as you pulse in this shape, can you really emphasize the 3rd principle? Breath encompasses movement. Breath encompasses movement. And so how that appears and how Jaden is working that technique is he starts exhaling, his belly hugs in, and then he moves back. Good. So just for the sake of this transition, we'll do 1 more breath. He'll come into lunge, keeping that 3rd principle. So even after he finishes the movement, the breath continues. He'll start exhaling, belly hugs in, the hands will plant, and then he moves towards downward facing dog. Keep exhaling as you transition. Good. And then please inhale, bend the knees, come into a tabletop. As you inhale, you're arching the back. Head comes up last. There's that spinal movement. And then he's going to exhale, belly in, child's pose. And then inhale to tabletop. Again, arching the back. There's that spinal movement. Exhale, belly in, downward facing dog, rounding the spine. So that's the next vinyasa. And we'll do 3 more just like that. Full string of postures here. Now really, can we emphasize what we've learned so far? Can we emphasize those principles, the breath-centric principles that keep us honest, keep us in integrity with the natural limits of our body? Really follow this flow of breath. We start breathing before we start moving. The body follows. The breath continues after the movement has ended. Yeah. And you can see there's this deceleration phase. There's this window where Jaden is kind of arriving, kind of right here. So as he's inhaling, he gets to the end of the movement. There's that floating space. Yeah. And you can notice that. You can see it, and you can feel it by watching his body. And I like how he lifts the heels as he inhales and comes forward, and that initiates the movement from the base. Really, we're noticing as we do these vinyasas how much the breath is actually influencing the shape of the spine. And in a beautiful way, just to feel how the breath moves the body and create change in the body. And you'll come back to tabletop on the next inhalation. He's done 4 so far, so we're going to transition to the next posture in Surya Namaskar. He moves to child's pose. And then he'll slide into a cobra. So this is our cobra vinyasa. And Jaden does a good job without forcing here. He's not trying to force a back bend. And he's just going to pulse this cobra 4 times. He's going to come down with his forehead. He's going to finish his exhale by pressing his head into the ground. This will straighten the spine. Yeah. Just 4 easy pulses. Again, encompass the movement in the breath. Start breathing before you start moving. Can you find the space between the breaths here? It's going to be more of a challenge, but you'll be able to notice it if you ease up a little bit, and that'll help you stay safe. And find the strength of the legs during the inhalation, and draw the navel towards the spine on the exhalation. Belly hugs in. This will help strengthen the base. Feel that exhale below. Good. And then one more time, breathing in. We're just going to come into the cobra, and now that we've set it up with the vinyasa, can you hold this shape? Let's try 4 breaths. Notice if you are struggling here. This should be work, but not a struggle. And inhale into the chest and the lungs and the heart. Feel the ribs lift away from the hips. And then exhale into the belly, pull the navel towards the spine. Yeah, just notice how that feels. Notice how exhale below, our very first principle, this idea that you inhale above and exhale below. Notice how that feels in this shape. Good. And I think this will be his last breath, and he'll transition slowly back into child's pose. Again, exhaling below, belly hugs in and pulls down towards the hips. And then we'll just take 1 breath in child's pose. The cobra can be intense, so let a full cycle of breath move through the body. Try not to check out here. Stay aware, attentive, engaged. Inhale above. Exhale below. And then on the next inhalation, we'll come up to tabletop. There's no rush to transition. And we exhale to child or downward facing dog. Yeah. And then the right leg inhales forward back into that lunge. And here we are on the other side of the body, and we can find a 4-breath pulse, lunge pulse, vinyasa. See if you can feel the scissoring action of the legs, especially during the exhalation. Right? Notice how when you exhale and the belly pulls in, you can feel the exhale through the base, through the legs, especially the inner thighs. See if you can notice that. And these practices are designed to get us embodied. And the principles that we use, these breath-centric principles that Bridge the Gap Yoga is always talking about, these keep us in integrity with this embodiment. So if you can't escape the breath, or you don't escape the breath, I should say, then you stay attentive. You stay present in your body. And you're practicing really what you're intending to practice, which is your wholeness. That's it. So that's a fourth vinyasa here. And I'd like to inhale and step forward and lift the spine into a halfway lift. And spinal length, and then we exhale, belly in. Good, and then we'll inhale into the chest and slide the hands up all the way overhead. We exhale, belly hugs in, hands come into heart. And we'll just pause here, try not to move at all, but feel all the energy in your body. Breathe easily and deeply. You've done a lot. 15 minutes of connecting your body to your breath with your mind. Bringing all three aspects of you into one space. Following a breath-centric method from a tradition designed to unlock human potential, to connect you to your inspiration. And just feel the significance of the work that you've done before you complete your practice. And the deepest part of me is in reverence for that deepest part of you and the space that we've created together. Thank you so much for meeting me here, for connecting with yourself, and for connecting to your own practice, your own sadhana. I bless you all and thank you for joining. Namaste.